It's Clint Osterholtz again for Queer Sense, and I'm your gay best friend who's good with money. Today we are finishing up our three-part series on student lending. So let's get started. What we're going to talk about today is making payments because that's pretty much the most important part of taking out a loan and, paying it back. First of all, when you start to make payments, there's a few things that you may not be aware of. The first thing that's awesome is that almost every student loan that's been consolidated or not is eligible for an interest rate reduction if you have auto debit set up. That's fantastic because that can take off up to half a percentage point on your effective rate, which means that you pay less money in the long term. For your private loans, it's a little different. You may or may not have been able to consolidate them. If you weren't able to consolidate them, you have different loans with different interest rates out there. But if you're paying a little more than the minimum payment, then you can choose that little extra money to go to whichever loan you want. And I would recommend going with the loan with the highest interest rate. They'll take your payment and split it up evenly. So if you make a $100 payment, $50 goes to your loan that's accruing interest at a 7% rate, and $50 goes to a loan that's accruing interest at like a 4% rate. That's really bad money sense. Make sure that the most money goes to the one with the highest interest rate. Here's the thing. When you make a payment, you can make sure that some of that money goes to one loan and more of that money goes to another loan. But you have to call them and let them know every single time you want to do this. If you go with paperless billing with Sallie Mae, you're enrolled every single month to win $25,000. It's not too shabby. There's an article in the Wall Street Journal about default rates going up. Now, you should never be in a position where you can't make payments on your loan, obviously, but things do happen. And most lenders are actually very understanding about that. But you need to inform them before you're not able to make payments. They have a lot of options available for you. They can defer your payments, they can have you make a different minimum payment, they can even put your loan in forbearance, which isn't the best for your credit, but it's certainly better than having a loan go into default. Because if you default on a loan, that will wreck your credit. I would like to point out, though, that even though you can put a loan in forbearance, that doesn't last forever, so you do need to make sure that you come up with an alternative plan to pay for your student loans. Some people also aren't too happy with the fact that they may only be able to make interest payments for now, and then later on they'll start making payments on principal. Trust me, if it's the difference between being able to pay the loan off and going into default, pay the loan off. Even if it costs you more money in the long run, it may make more sense for you to at least keep your credit score up and higher than it would be if you start defaulting on loans. If you do have any questions for me, please leave some in the comments below. Otherwise, it's been fantastic doing this series, and next time I'll show you something. We'll talk about something new. Thanks so much for joining me in this series, and I will see you in 2 weeks.